use something which I call RF4. Now that's an interesting name. We debated, deliberated, and thrashed around for a couple of days before coming up with this. So R stands for retention and F stands for factors. So retention factor is 4. So we try to solve a problem of frontline retention, and we cracked it a bit. And I think some of you may like what I'm presenting here, but if you critique it, I think that's going to make it much stronger. So I'm in the room right now to seek your feedback more than anything else, because before we go out to the world and show it to them, we would rather make it stronger than weaker. And what else to do but to present it to friends and well-wishers first, then to go out and present it to other people. So what I'm going to present is something which we did over the past 2 years, and I tried to make it in 20 minutes and a couple of slides. But a question first, and I think this time the voting pads will work. So see that, please. What are the top 3 challenges to your people's strategy? So just randomly out of these 5, just say whatever is there, A, B, C, D, E, whichever you think are the 3. I think it should work. Are we yes? Yes. It is working. We are getting some responses, so just press it, please. It's going to just take it once. It is not going to take it more than once. So you keep on pressing 1, 2, 3. So just say A, B, or C, or A, D, or whatever are your answers. Just press that. So managing multi-generational workforce, is that your challenge? Developing leaders, is that your challenge? Retaining talent and critical talent, is that your challenge? Increase diversity and cross-cultural competencies, is that your challenge? Or hiring skilled talent, is that your challenge? So 3, just give me 3 please. So we have some 32, so we still have some responses going on. Please go on. So we have 33 responses. I think they should be large, a lot more than that. In the room. So if everybody has done that, we are around 35 odd responses. Nitin, shall we have the results? Yeah? There you go. I was banking on it, and we had a debate on this. Mark says, what if people say retaining talent is not their challenge? So Mark, there you go, right? We have a backup plan for that in any case. But just to share, retaining talent still comes out as one of the biggest challenges in India, whichever way you cut it. And possibly we have one set of solutions. I don't think we have all sets of solutions, but we have possible one set of solution to crack the problem. So what am I going to present here to you? I'm going to present to you a triangulated research, and I will explain that to you in a bit. What do we mean by triangulated research? First of its kind done in India and at the front line. We are going to share with you some linkages we've clearly established between supervisor competencies, how he behaves, and what kind of competencies does he bring onto the table to retain his frontline people. We're going to introduce a framework to you to select, assess, and develop those frontline competencies. And lastly, we can impact, and this is a bold claim to make, but I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm willing to, if anybody engages with me, I'm willing to return the money back if the result doesn't improve like this. So that's a tall claim to make, but I learned a couple of things from my friend Rajinder on sales, so I'm making this claim that you can possibly improve the life cycles of your frontline employees by 1/3 by using what we're trying to do here. Why do we say that? But before that, let me just also ask you the biggest pain item sometimes in that. What's the percentage? So just take your voting pads. Just tell me what's the percentage at the front line, not the organization. At the front line, what's the answer to that? Your front line. What are the sector? So you are a good director. You can say for the whole organization. So front line, what is your typical attrition rate? So we had 28. I thought we had 35 last time. So some people are still at it. 31. Okay, we can close it, and then we can just see what's the result here. Okay, we've got a split vote here, but there are some people who are saying more than 60%. So if you have more than 60%, we are your doctors tonight. So, I just want to build a couple of points here, and these are all polls of various studies done. 1 in 4 are looking for jobs at frontline. Specifically, India's retention problem is acute. 27% of the total workforce is going to right. 70 to 100% attrition frontline in insurance. Ask me, I've been there. 40 to 60% in ITES and BPO. Ask my friend Sharad, he works there. and 50 to 60 in retail, right? So those are some of the challenges we all face on an everyday basis. What does it mean? How much money does it cost us? And sometimes those costs are hidden. Various estimates, and we have tried to look at all the studies, various estimates tell us it's around 1.5 times cost of replacing an employee. If you just do that illustration and look at that loss, if you have 27% attrition, 2.5 lakhs salary for the front line, approximately loss is 20 crores. Well, that's not a small number, but it is small for some people, but not for so many organizations. So if you can impact the 20 crores, that's the story. Another one. So what, in your opinion, are 3 factors, the top 3 factors which impact any employee to go? So just take your voting pads, just vote for me. Top 3. So just say A, B, and C, or A, D, and B, or whatever. Just give me your top 3. Top 3. We have 31, 31, 32, then we can just close it. Let's just see. So you agree with me? Wow, right? So we were banking on certain things, so this comes out, in line mark again. Immediate supervisor leads to attrition of frontline people. Numerous studies claim the same. I thought I'd give you a glimpse of some international and national studies. So DDI says the same thing, CII says the same thing, SHM says the same thing. Everybody says quality of relationship with the supervisor is one of the most important vectors for people to leave or be in the organization. And our audience poll here says the same thing. So what did we do? We said, okay, let's isolate this vector. Let's isolate and focus only on supervisor. What does he do for him to either retain or make people lose, go away from his team? So that's where we focused on. And just a quick glimpse to remind us of certain things which the supervisor does. He plays roles in sourcing, selection, performance management, rewards and recognition, training and development, career growth. Virtually every day he touches the employee in one way or the other, and so do we. So if he does that, if he touches the employee every time, likelihood of his able to make that or push that guy out is very high. So we said, okay, what does it take for him to retain rather than push out the person? So we went about doing this and saying, we came out with our vision while we were, we were being pushed in the corner to say, let's find a solution to this. So in the area of the work we do, we try to solve people problems, and we try to solve people problems for productivity and enhancing employee retention. So that's the core purpose of our organization. So what did we do? We went about, like a good research, we went about framing a hypothesis, and you would have noticed a lovely lady here, Tanuja. She was our guide and mentor in putting this hypothesis together. She is a professor in MDI. And we have another lovely lady sitting back in a black, Gitanjali. She works with the CLC, and she helped us frame some of these things and put them together. And that's what I meant by triangulation research. We will come to that in a minute. So if the competencies lead to work engagement and work engagement lead to subordinates' intention to stay, and moreover, a discretionary effort of performance, how do you work on this, and what are some of the things which work in Indian context? So we went about saying, if all of this is going to impact revenue, profit, customer satisfaction. I was told there's an article in the Eco Times today, Rajendra was telling me, right, by Shiv Kumar, that he's talked about how the customer gets impacted by employee retention. And we said, what's the hypothesis? Our first hypothesis was managerial competencies impact work engagement. And our second hypothesis was work engagement significantly impacts turnover retention. And there's a negative correlation. Higher the work engagement, lower the turnover retention. So that's what we went about proving. So while we did that, we also looked at some international researches, and Conference Board talks about 0.43 correlation, negative correlation between employee engagement and voluntary turnover. So what does it mean? It means that if the work engagement goes up, the turnover retention comes down. And incidentally, we didn't plan to do it, but what we found out is exactly the same score in different context. So if you see, it's exactly the same score, and just by chance it happened. It was never planned for that. So how do you solve this retention puzzle? What do you do about it? So we went about saying we should have a triangulation approach. Most of the studies which are done, which are research studies, are typically done between consultants and industry, academia or industry. And we didn't want to fall in that trap because if the studies are done like this, they are refuted by either of the parties. So we said we are going to do a triangulation study where all three parties are going to get involved. So consultants are us, Mark, we took some clues from Gitanjali Academy as MDI, and I asked good friends like Rajinder, Sharad, Macmillan, Yash is here, to come and become part of the study. So we did at Kavi, Religate. So we did a lot of various industries we touched. We said, can we get answers from your employees to say what will it take for them to be in the organization? So that's what I meant by triangulation study. So we covered all angles. So one can't refute the other. And then we went about saying, how do we make the study robust? So the first thing we did was we said we will focus on service sector. We are not going to spread ourselves too thin. We just focus on service sector in India. We said we will have multiple peer reviews. So whatever work Tanuja did was peer reviewed by another professor of MDI, which is a good way to do any research, because someone does the work and somebody independent of the research looks at that work and says, yes, that's valid. And it's not one, we do two reviews. So Tanuja's work reviewed by another professor, that professor's work reviewed by another professor. So we made it as robust as possible. And we did, as we all know, in business we did both the quantity and the quality stuff. And lastly, we did amongst the largest studies, we did around 1800 data points, which my guide told me 1800 is a good number to have in India. We didn't have those many data points in India, especially for many sectors. So we did it again across industries and across geographies. So we tried to do that. We get as large a sample as possible and spread across south, north, east, west, so everywhere. So we had about this, and then we applied stats models. So my esteemed colleague Nitin here, he did this SPSS thing. I have no clue how he did it, but he's the guy who ran through all the SPSS, and I asked him, tell me what it means. I hardly can remember it even now. But he ran through all the models, and Tanuja checked it, and then we came out with the four potential factors, as we call them. Again, a lot of debate on what should the name be. And another colleague of mine, Anisha Motwani from Max, helped me put together some of these names. So we call it a team cultivator, people investor, perceptive. We had a lot of debate between perceptive and compassionate. And Rajat gave me the feedback, compassionate is very feety-feet. So remove it. So I said, okay, let's go with perceptive. And then we said a guide. The simple words, this one is a little technical, but that's what we came out with. So I'll give you a glimpse on what does it mean. What does this all four things mean, what it means for us in business, and what can we do about it. So the why do four, we went about the hypothesis. The first thing we did was quality. We started one-on-one. We found out 41 engaging behaviors as supervisor, 9 themes. We ran through the modeling. We came out with 37, 4 underlying themes, and 4 behaviors we eliminated. So these are the 4 which I shared with you. And when I was sharing this with Mark, he said, this, my dear, on the right-hand corner is the most important data. So what does it mean? It means basically that for work engagement, if you look at competencies in the people investor, 28% variance if we touch that vector. If we touch that vector, work engagement can get impacted by 28%. And technically, both Tanuja and Nitin can correct me if that's the way it has to be explained. So what we did, we said a lot of data on the slide, so pardon me for this, a lot of stats on this. So we did something called R-square. We looked at various scores again and again and again, and that's why it took us 2 years. How many man days, Nitin? 425 man days. So we did all those numbers. And we came out with a statistically significant p-value, which basically says that 95% what we're saying, we're confident of what we're writing here. And this is all statistically valid. And I've already shared this number with you. We have the R of minus 4.438. So work engagement goes up, turnover intention comes down, and vice versa. So what am I saying? I'm saying that by looking at these 4 things, you can simply improve your employee life cycle by 33%. And why 33%? You would have noticed a number in my previous slide. So we come from here. So from science, we come back to say, we make a claim. And that's why I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. That it's statistically valid number which we put in here. And lastly, we said, well, Mark, we didn't get the numbers here. Sorry about that. We were thinking, shall we quantify it and put in how much crores of rupees it means, but another day. So we say that ROI per employee is going to go up. cost will come down if you do these 4. So what are these 4 I've been talking about? So I'm going to run you through them like a good sales guy, never give you the whole thing. Now, we have something for you in the goodie bags, which is explaining everything there. And so these are the 4 behaviors we're talking about in the team cultivator. So we say the person has to be fair and transparent. This is not what we say. The subordinates are saying, I will stay in this team and I will give my best performance if my supervisor is fair and transparent. Emotionally mature, performance enabler, discipline managers. So I can take a pause and you can ask me, so what's new? This is all commonsensical, we know it. So what are you telling us? What I'm telling you is you already knew it, I just proved it through science. And you can, tomorrow when the CEOs, and there are many here, there's Kavi, there's Keshav, there's Shanta, when they ask you, how do you know this is going to work? Well, there's science behind it, that's how it's going to work. And so what are some of the things under fair and transparent? For example, so the person is fair and transparent in dealings, fights firmly for team's cause, not my cause, team's cause. Does not limit my career growth for his or her personal gain. So when I worked in insurance, we have seen an upteen number of times that a supervisor says, my career comes before the subordinate.